Up next on the Elevated Podcast.
Consider this perspective. Navigating between your comfort zone and complacency can often be misunderstood.
We think of our comfort zone like Netflix and chill, being lazy, having a lack of ambition or drive, but I'm here to redefine this concept.
While both may offer a sense of satisfaction, they lead to vastly different outcomes.
But the right action can actually fuel us.
In this episode, my special guest and I are here to debunk the misconceptions around comfort zone and break through the barriers once and for all.
What is truly comfortable to us? And when we get to know that and then grow and expand from that place, instead of shaming ourselves for it, that's where we really can harness our best life and our true gifts of why we're here.
What's good, Elevation Nation, and welcome to the Elevated Podcast, where we provide personal development, coaching to emerging leaders so that they can thrive in their inner tugging their it. I am your performance coach and host, Christian. Now let's go. Today we have one of the most powerful and positive, most passionate beings on the globe here to help coach us through our topic of discussion. She is a best-selling author and CEO of Power of Positivity and has a community of over 50 million followers globally. Listen, y'all, she is a leader, a writer, and visionary in personal development with a huge heart, a huge captivating heart within her flow. She's such an awesome being and a blessing, and I promise you will experience that like none before in this episode. Listen, she knows what rock bottom feels like and has shifted that life with the power of positive thinking. She is a woman of God who doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the walk with a mission to uplift the planet. Here on the Elevated Podcast, here to drop some gems around the topic, beyond the barriers, with a positive spin on comfort zone. Elevation Nation, please help me welcome to the Elevated Podcast my new friend, my newest friend, Miss Power of Positivity, Kristen Butler. Welcome.
Wow, Christian, you're amazing. I love that. Thank you so much. Your energy is just next level. Thank you for having me. And I'm so excited to dive into conversation and connect with your audience.
Oh, thank you so much. And you are amazing, amazing, amazing. Before we jump into this, Elevation Nation, you know what to do. I want you to jump over to the community tab and to answer this question. Do you believe that being in your comfort zone is a good thing or a bad thing? All right. Put that in the comment section. Go ahead and vote that on the poll, and we will talk about that and much more in this episode. Kristen, are you ready?
Yes,
Listen,
absolutely.
as you can see, I bring so much energy, so we're going to keep going with that. So I need to
Yeah.
know, listen, at least as much as I have been thinking and processing this, until I got a hold of your book, I will be perfectly honest. I have quoted you before. I have even preached a sermon from the area of your
Oh,
book because it touched my heart and my mind so much. But I
wow.
grew up thinking the comfort zone, it just had such a bad rap, right? Everybody talks about getting out of your comfort zone. And in your wonderful book, there's a different perspective. So if you could tell me, like, what is the comfort zone? And also, from your perspective, why do so many people want to get out of it?
Great question. And I know that survey, a lot of people are probably going to say no, right? Because
Right.
we think of stepping outside of our comfort zone. We think of our comfort zone like Netflix and chill, right? Being lazy, having a lack of ambition or drive. But I'm here to redefine this concept because that's not a comfortable place to be. That's complacency. We're not here. God brought us here for a mission and a purpose and for expansion and to live our best lives. And there's so many people we love out there that they're not rising up to that challenge, and it hurts our hearts, right? And even for ourselves in areas that we want to grow, we're bogged down with fear. That's not comfortable. And often when we're in these places, we are burdened by stress, anxiety, fears, the types of feelings that we're not meant to experience if we have faith and purpose and trust, right? So to me, our comfort zone should be a comfortable place. It should be why God put us here, for where we get to know why we're here, what our purpose is, what are our preferences, what do we love, what's our skill sets, what is truly comfortable to us. And when we get to know that and then grow and expand from that place, grow our comfort zone instead of shaming ourselves for it, that's where we really can harness our best life and our true gifts of why we're here. But we shame ourselves for being in that place. We shame ourselves for taking time for reflection and self-care and joy, right? But let's amplify that. Let's take time for that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, Kristen. Have you ever shamed yourself, or have you always been this Miss Positive Kristen?
When I was little, I was so positive, right? But
Mhm.
then people were looking down upon that. Hey, you're looking through rose colored glasses. You're not in reality. That couldn't happen. That couldn't happen to someone like you. Hard work, effort, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. That's where your dreams happen, not sitting over there doing what you're doing. Who I was often shamed. And so I started shaming who I was internally, and
Mm.
yeah, and I was introverted, sweet, all the good things, but I started taking on these labels, right? And I think we all do that. We take
Mhm.
on these labels from the outside world, and we listen to the belief systems of culture and what we're told that we're supposed to be doing, and
Yeah,
we kind of start taking action aimlessly. We don't
yeah,
necessarily have that high aim, that place that we want to be, from a place that comes from within first and then is reflected outwardly. And so I hit rock bottom from just always pushing myself, living out of my comfort zone. I kind of grew up in an uncomfortable situation. So I thought, why would I want to be outside my comfort zone to finally be successful when I'm not comfortable right now? I'm trying to
right.
find a place to be comfortable,
Ah,
right? Like most
right.
of us, we're not comfortable. And so let's really unpack that and understand, what can a comfort zone be?
Mhm.
Because pushing ourselves and living in discomfort, living in fear, living in stress, that's not why we're here. We're here to enjoy the journey.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. See, to be fully transparent, I'm one who had so many fears. Like I'm even still on my journey, Kristen, of really identifying who I am authentically. God within, connecting with the area of oneness from my being. Had so many different labels, and look, I had so much external validation. That's how I lived my life. And so if you thought I was great and good, then good. But if you didn't like what I had to say, then I would have what we call releaser's remorse. So I would do this podcast episode or preach or teach or coach, and then at the end, I'm like, well, why did I say that? What did I do? So forth and so on, because I needed so much external validation. And the funny thing is, when I feel as though when we have so many external things that we're listening to, and it comes in and it hears our heart and our mind, it's hard to hear the divine voice within that's been there all alone, and oneness, sharing nothing but love, power, peace, great vibrational frequency, and things for us to move forward. But no, we have the naysayers, or I call them the they sayers, who are out there
Mm.
saying all different types of things. And now we start believing those things. So there's a part of us who have to unlearn what we've learned and get to that place. And it was your book that really hit my heart at that place where I was at a turning point. And I was like, you know what? There's something about it. I appreciate social media and everything else, but I felt like I was just trying to find what was popular and what was going to get the likes or the follows. But God, what are you saying to me? And what if what you're saying to me and how I desire to express myself is different than what is popular out there? And I felt like it was a lot of drama, but not a lot of positive things that was put out there to help us unfold and develop. So with that being said, Kristen, have you been able to identify with that journey? And what would you say to the Christians in the world, me personally, right? Who found out, like, look, I've been so fear driven and concerned about what other people are thinking, and now I want to take this journey to get in my comfort zone. How can I get there?
Mm. That's so good. For me, being at rock bottom, being in bed for 2 weeks, feeling like I failed God, that I failed myself, that I just didn't even feel like I deserved to be here, shaming myself after really letting every area of my life fall apart, kind of falling into that system of constantly working, constantly grinding, constantly hustling, chasing the
Mhm.
carrot, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
being at that place, gratitude and thankfulness for what God's given me in that moment. Sure, it wasn't where I thought I'd be at that time, but gratitude is what started to get me out of bed and move through. And I still use it today when I'm having a rough day or going through a challenge. Gratitude is everything. It's thankfulness, the energy of that is so powerful. And it
Mhm,
really can take you out of such a dark, negative place or a
mhm.
judgmental place and put you right where you should be, because there's always a perspective that you can find that is positive, that is good. There's something going right at every minute, but it takes our focus, our intentional focus to look for that. And the more we look for that, the more we practice that, the more we find it, the more we seek it. So that's one very quick and easy and simple way that we can get in our comfort zone, because our comfort zone is where we find and feel all those positive emotions, where we can access joy, where we can access peace in a moment of stress. And so gratitude was my first emotion that it really helped me to get out of bed, start brushing my teeth again, start, calling people, because I really did kind of let go and just, sulk in bed with all the negativity and rumination of how did this happen? How did I get here? What do I
Mhm,
need to do? So gratitude is first. If you're not in a place of like rock bottom or
mhm.
feeling shameful about your life, but you just want a little bit of more personal growth, I love to just expand my comfort zone. So once you really get to understand, what am I most comfortable with? What do I love? And how can I grow in that area? Because we're meant to be here to grow. And actually, we're our happiest and most authentic when we are growing, but in small increments, right? And in directions and areas we want to go and pursue. So that's really getting to know yourself, understanding your limits and your boundaries, and how you can push that and grow and expand your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be a static place.
Wow, it doesn't have to be a static place. Wow, that's so good. Gratitude. Do you practice meditation at all?
I do, but not as much as I used to. To me, meditation, as a busy mom with 2 kids, it's like I can go out on a walk. And as long as I'm accessing silence and peace and
Mhm.
really being in that present moment and looking around me, that's to me a form of meditation. I find meditation in almost little things that I'm doing that quiet my mind, right? Because I'm
Sure,
always
sure.
thinking.
Absolutely. See, even on the ministry side, the church side, my wife and I, we're talking about the rest of God
Yeah.
as of right now. We've talked about that area, how it's a posture where there's revelation that happens in rest. And
Mm,
so, in such a busy world, I just got off of a meeting with some staff, and I said, we have to be in a place where we, even if we need to schedule the rest, schedule the quiet time, schedule it in to
exactly.
get that thing in. And again, so when, yes, I practice that area, meditation, gratitude, the things that you're sharing. But for me, sometimes it literally is 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, whenever I can get it. Sometimes it's walking, sometimes it's laying in bed, sometimes it's praying, sometimes it's an area of visualization. It's a number of things that get my heart and my mind. But I feel like when I've been like more agitated or more going to that area, I always say it this way: the more you drive a car, the more you got to fill up. And I think
Mm,
sometimes we will fill up on a Monday, so to speak. And then we'll just go ahead and drive and drive and drive, and we're wondering what's going on, right? Yeah, I know what my comfort zone is. Yes, I appreciate that, but I feel like I'm not able to operate at my greatest capacity. And perhaps it's because, one, we didn't slow down to smell the roses, to practice gratitude, but to be in a posture to be like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and rest. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to be at this place because at that place, I'm able to move forward and get the fullness of joy pertaining to that. So thank you for sharing that. And then you said expanding your comfort zone. Hmm. I need a little more about that right there, because
yeah.
that seems like coming out my comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Go into meditation. I do want to say, I love meditation. And at first I started guided meditations and all of that. But I think through the practice and through the time, you learn to harness that in just your everyday life. And that's what's really beautiful, that you can get into your comfort zone very quickly when you find yourself getting off balance because you've practiced it. It's just part of you. It's part of your life. And prayer is one of my favorite ways to meditate. That's really embodying gratitude and connecting. And I see that as spiritual self care to me, because really we need to fill ourselves up, like you said. If we're running, we need to fill up more often. Expanding our comfort zone, to me, I believe that we're here to grow and expand. Look at nature. It's
Hmm.
constantly growing and expanding. That's
Yeah.
life. So
Yeah.
if we're not growing and expanding, we're going to feel stuck. We're going to feel
Hmm.
resistance. We're going to feel negativity. It's often because we aren't taking enough action, or we're taking too much. We need to look at nature and find inspiration in that, and know that, okay, slow and steady does really win the race. And so
Wow.
if we get into that comfort zone and truly understand our own personal one and learn how to expand it and harness that momentum, that's where our power is. That's where we access our purpose and we can start doing work that we love and truly living. That's where we can truly live.
Wow, wow. How can I identify what my comfort zone like is? Like what does that look like? I mean, if I've been spending like most of my time trying to come out of this thing, what can I do?
When I first started doing this, it was like asking myself so many questions. We need time to reflect. And often, we're scrolling or we're doing things that are mindless, and we're not really getting in tune with ourselves, in tune with our body. I love journaling as well. So,
Hmm.
reflecting in our thoughts and then taking that and putting it out on paper and truly understanding what brings me joy. Where are my skill sets? Just asking yourself so many questions to understand what you truly love, what
Hmm.
you truly need. Because if you look around you, everyone can tell you what they think, right? And feedback is great. I
Hmm.
love feedback, but does it align with inside? And
Oh,
so
that's so
getting to
good.
know, yeah, getting to know who you are,
Mhm.
asking yourself questions, and that can change from time to time. I can work on a book and then think, oh, I think I want to get some more speaking engagements, or I
Mhm.
think I'll pause and I'll take time for more family. Whatever that is for you in that moment, get really comfortable with asking yourself questions, knowing yourself, knowing your path, knowing what you want that next step to be. I think
Yes.
that's so important.
Yeah.
And we think that action, if we're already so busy and we're so bogged down, action's just going to make us more stressed out, right? But the right action can actually fuel
Mm.
us.
Wow, the right action can actually fuel us. So this is something that you and I both have in common with the Elevated podcast. It stands for inner tugging. If this is your first time watching or listening, and I get that from Matthew 14. And so that's when Jesus is out there on the water. And I just think that Peter's in the world that are at that posture in that place where they're realizing that there's something compelling them. There's a passion in them that says, if that's you out there on the water, like the Passion Translation actually says that Jesus says, go for it. And I think that's where we have to be to identify that there may be a storm out there, but we have to go for it if we feel that compelling and that passion. So that sounds like that area of that comfort too. Like, yes, there are other leaders around. There's other disciples that are in the boat and they didn't all step forward and feel that, but it's okay. This is what I'm feeling passionate about. This is the thing that's leading me. And it's not so much just the things that we put our passion in. And I think we spend a lot of time on those things, right? I love
Mm.
coaching. I love speaking. I love that. That's good. I'm putting my passion in those vehicles, but there's that feeling, there's that vibration, there's that frequency that lets me know this is what I need to align with to move forward. So
Mm.
getting in your comfort zone, listen, you have 100% convinced. I am a believer pertaining to being in your comfort zone. I believe it's a God-given thing for us. And you think about it when we're children. It's like you have things that you have the imagination and I can fly, I can do these things and all those things. And what do? Don't do that. You'll break your neck, you'll fall, you're going to hurt yourself. We inflict all this pain and fear and worry that hits our heart and our mind. And then we grow up and try to get rid of those things. There's something in us from the innocence that I think God is just releasing on us. And if we would embrace that, that's what it is. In Genesis
Mm,
1, when we look at that, when it says God created things, you look at the original language. Listen, Kristen, it means he had imagination. He
mm,
imagined these things, and it was
yeah.
so. So everything that we're dealing with started from an area of the mind, the imagination, the place of gratitude, seeing things. So what are we seeing that is from our comfort zone that we haven't moved out on due to the fear or the lack of affirmation? Sitting with
Mm,
self, like you're saying, that's where the good stuff is. And I had to learn it, and it's been hard. But your book, the things that you've shared in there, the reflections, the questions, it's all self-examination. Even though you're
mm,
writing it, you're realizing those things. No. It's this is what I love about it. I love that you lead me to a pathway that I can hear God and look within for myself.
mm,
So even though you're
exactly.
amazing, a professional doing what you're doing, I appreciate it. But it's like I say this, I want to be the microphone stand for those with the microphone.
Mm,
You allow to be that support to usher us into a conversation with self, with God aligned. And once we get that, what can really hold us back? I'm sorry, I got
No, I
excited.
love it. That's
Talk to me.
so, it's so perfect because that's exactly what my rock bottom journey was. And, 15 years ago, look how much I've achieved and accomplished, but it wasn't anything that created burnout. It just created more passion, more fuel because I was doing what I love and I was aligning with why I was here. And so I think
Mm,
when we're not doing what we're truly meant to do, that's where we get the burnout. That's where we get the fear and the anxiety. And yeah, we're humans. We're going to have that on a day-to-day basis or when we're trying to overcome a challenge because with growth, you do have discomfort. You do have challenge, but it's much more minimal than when you're not living in alignment with yourself, with why you're here, with God. It's so much more discomfort than when you're really in line, really in tune, listening. Because what does God say? I have plans for you, but you have to trust those plans and you have to live those plans and you got to take action every day toward those plans. So
mm,
that's when we get stuck. That's when we get in what I call the complacency zone, not the
mhm,
comfort zone, because
mhm.
it's not comfortable at all. You're just so burdened and weary and we're not meant to be there. And so,
Wow.
yeah, being strong, being courageous, asking yourself those questions and then taking action because it's thoughts and then it's actions. That's truly what it comes down to.
Wow. What's the difference between like that comfort zone and complacency? Because I think we kind of confuse those. So could you give us more clarity on that?
Negative emotion.
Okay.
Really, it's negative emotion. It's like to me, I was in survival mode. I was constantly pushing myself. I was really always stressed out, burned out, what the society says is the definition of success. Stress is a sign that you're on the right path, right?
Mhm.
Technically, is what they're saying. Well, does God say that? No, we're not supposed to be
Mm,
constantly fearful and stressed out and having a disrupted nervous system because physiologically, there's so many signs going on. So,
yeah.
spiritually, there's signs, but then physiologically, our bodies are like, no, we're out of balance. Don't you see this health problem or these
Yes.
negative feelings? And so when I was in complacency, it was like I had burnt myself out so much that I got to a place where I didn't care. It was like, oh, I don't really feel motivated. I don't want to
Mm,
take action because
wow.
that's a place where you need healing. You don't need to feel shame that you're
Yeah.
not where you should be. That's a place where you need more self care, more rest, more time to recharge,
Yeah.
more prayer, more
Yeah.
connection with family and friends that can nourish you and fuel you to get to a place where you feel a little better. Don't shame yourself for being at that place. And so it's not a comfortable place. Negative emotion is telling you, hey, these are the signs that things are going wrong. We got to
Mm,
fix this and we can fix this. And you've got to
yes.
lean into that and use that as a tool to transform.
I love that. I want to speak directly to Elevation Nation right now. Somebody who is listening, watching this, and you're like, listen, I hear these things. As a matter of fact, the image I get in my heart and my mind right now is the individual who felt like Kristen, like in my younger days, I was positive. I was operating from this, and then life happened. It slapped me in my face, and I bit that negative pill, and thing just started kind of coming from there. And like attracts like, you're created in the image and likeness of God, and God creates greatness, and you're great, and you're awesome, and you're wonderful. And the truth be told is that I think if we can forgive ourselves, if we can sit and look within, that there's a posture, there's a place for you right now to listen. It doesn't have to take long. You can actually make the decision right now while Christian and Kristen are having a conversation and say, listen, today marks the day of new beginnings, meaning that from this moment on, that when I feel those feelings, I am not my feelings. I will let them pass through, and then I will align my mind to the vine, the trueness of who God is, and experiencing and realizing that even the pain from the past, it can turn into power and passion, and I can use that to move forward. Listen, beloved, we want to encourage you right now where you are, that the best is yet to come, that you can make a decision right now, that no matter what happens on the external outside, that you can sit within. By having a bad day on the outside, sit within, pray, meditate, practice a level of gratitude, and go beyond these barriers. There are mental barriers that have hit many of us, and we can set ourselves free. You don't need anybody else to set you free. You can set yourself free. Scripture says, who the Son sets free is free indeed. And where is the Son?
Mm.
The Son is within you, beloved. So today, make the decision that we're going to go through these barriers, that the comfort zone is where we're desiring to go and be, and we're going to put a spin on this thing. Kristen, what's on your heart?
Mm. It's true, everything you're saying. I mean, God can really wipe the slate clean. Jesus can cleanse your soul, and you can really be a new transformed person without that past. It's true, but you have to step into it, you have to believe it, and you have to take action to move forward through this new transformation.
I love that. I
So
love that.
true.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I'm getting so excited over here. I'm trying to calm down. So I need to know. So from your area, your personal journey, you shared a little bit about, you were, pretty much depressed, right? And this power of positivity. It's the whole global movement that's going on that is amazing. Listen, I every post I see, I'm sharing it, putting it on my page, coming from there. It's just so much power that you have within there. Um, I think about the person who is kind of like, you can't be positive all the time. You can't be this, you can't be that, those type of situations. And I want to encourage that person, because you're a living example that it's not about just being positive all the time. It's about the posture of really being that.
Mm.
Can you share some fruit that kind of has come from this shift of some things that God has been doing for you by living this lifestyle, living this as a everyday area and helping others? What do you see by living from a positive place, positive thinking, that opens up for you?
Mm. Wow, I could say so much. Saying when I was at rock bottom, it was like doctors had told me you'll never have children. And so one of my biggest,
Wow.
yeah, I have two daughters, 12 and 7. And so that's one of my biggest accomplishments, because being told that you're never going to have children, I could have sulked in that for the rest of my life. I
Hmm.
could have taken that as the final answer, but that doesn't have to be. That's a human telling me that. That's not what God was telling me in my heart. And that's why there was that conflict. Like, I did get depressed because it was like, wow, this doesn't align. This doesn't feel true. And I could have lived that story out, and I didn't. And so
Hmm.
that's probably one of my biggest accomplishments there, where it's like I turned
Yes.
that around,
Mm.
having children. Also I had lost my business at the time. I was a power seller, very successful, but I had created it from that survival mentality, from that
Okay.
fear-based place, right? But then when I step into the abundant place that God
Woo.
wants us to create from, that's power of positivity. And that's where it took off, because the energy behind it was so strong. It was from
Mm.
abundance. It was from making an impact in other people's lives, from serving. And I think that is truly so important. So that's transformed. I
Can I
could go
pause you
into
there real
so
quick?
many places. Yeah.
Yeah, let me, because you said the abundant. That's like a buzzword, right? So
Mhm.
for me, right? So an abundant mindset of living. Would you say that a positive mindset is an abundant mindset?
Mm. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Mm.
So one who has dealt with scarcity, again, fear, lack mindset. They want an abundant mindset. But scripture even talks about that, the good that I want to do. There's always something ever present to kind of distract me, and I'm paraphrasing, right? So in order to practice that place of abundance, like what do you have to do to start that journey to be like, look, I'm just going to live in an area of abundance? Do you have to wait till it shows up? Do you speak it as though it's not, and then it shows up? Like, talk us through a little bit of that, if you can, about the
Mm.
abundant mindset and how it's connected to that power of positivity.
There's so much scripture that talks about what we're here for, all the abundant feelings and positive feelings we're supposed to thrive in. So you can constantly know that you can put your trust and hope in God and God's word,
Mhm.
and that's number one, the strength of fueling your cup, changing your mindset around that. For me, I had to really look at my own thoughts, my own self-talk. What am I
Wow.
proclaiming? What am I saying about myself, about other people, about the world? Do I really trust God? Do I really? I might say it, I might
Mm.
think it, but do I really? Am I acting in faith? So I
Yeah.
think that is truly where you have to start looking at the scarcity mindset, the limiting beliefs that you might have. And
Wow.
that's so important because we can say we trust God, we can go to church every week and we can be in community, but what are we thinking? How are we feeling? Are we truly seeing it in the work, in every day, in other people, or are we looking at the lack? Are we judging? Are we doing the
Wow.
things that we shouldn't be doing? Because then we're judging ourselves. And so I had to really identify those core beliefs and then change them. And even today, like if I feel something come up about myself, like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. Who says I can't do that? Does God say I can do that? I can do that. And then how can I do that? How can
Wow.
I make that happen?
Wow.
Yeah.
Self-examination. I'm hearing that like
Yeah.
really, like
Constant.
really
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
And I believe it's, let me know if you agree with this or not, and that's fine. If you don't, but the area of self-examination, like it's not an area where it should take us to a low place. Like, it's
Mm-mm.
not beating yourself up. I kind of, I go against that mindset. For years I've heard preaching and teaching, just from a perspective where, just, just from being just a sin conscious mentality, just you're nothing, you're this and whatever, and it hits my heart and mind to a level where I'm like, how can I be nothing when I have God within me? And
Mm.
so if I have God within me and we cooperate together and we move forward in these things, for me to look, self-examination really is a place of alignment. It's
Yeah.
really aligning my mind to the divine of God within. So it should be a joyous thing. It's just like when you go to the doctor, right? Like, if I have a symptom of a situation, I want to go to the doctor and say, hey, doc, let me know what the problem is so that we can now focus on the solution. So if we're in the place of the doctor's office and we're like, we just want to keep talking about the problem and how I feel, and I'm soaking in it and this, that's not what it's for. Let's identify what the symptoms are and how we can take the spiritual, natural, physical, emotional medicine, the pills from Dr. Jesus within, and be
Mm.
able to align ourselves and move forward within that. So self-examination, search me, oh God, Psalms 139 says, point out if there's anything, in other words, is out of alignment, right? And lead me to that place as we move forward. So if you're hearing that self-examination and you're feeling like, I'm looking at self and I feel worse, no. I want to
Mm.
encourage you. We want to encourage you to say, no, this is about identifying the problem, but focusing on the solution. And it might not even be problem. It might just be an area like when I go to the chiropractor, I just need an adjustment because
Yeah.
some things seem to be off. Do we need an adjustment to align ourselves, to free ourselves to move forward and be exactly what it is? Thank you. That's
Mm. Oh,
self-examination.
thank you for that. That was so good. Oh, it's exactly like that. And Self-awareness is really self-care. I love to say that because it's looking at the areas of your life, physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional, and
Mhm.
seeing where you need to fill up, where you need to recharge. That's how we
Mm.
can live a balanced life. That's how we can prevent burnout. We're human, we're going to experience negative emotion, but it's just a flag. It's just
Yes.
saying, here, we need to tend to this area, and
Mhm.
that's okay. And when I've learned to really listen into that, not stuff it down, not numb it, not start scrolling, not ignore it, and actually take action, that's where I feel free. So when you're saying freedom, it's all about freedom. It's
Yes.
all about positivity and freedom and not fear and not stress and anxiety. But we're so programmed to live in that place.
Oh man, it's so good. It's so good. Listen, I've talked about your book, and I want you to share with us like where we can get the book. Talk to us a little bit about it. We'll definitely have it in the notes to make sure that they can go ahead and order. But please share with us how we can find this book, how we can follow you on social. Please share that.
Yeah, on Amazon, The Key to Positivity. You can also go to thekeytopositivity.com. And I have a bunch of bonuses on there right now. And there's a community you can join and kind of starting the conversation around this topic, because yes, this is a new perspective, but I promise you this perspective we want to lean into. This is how we're going to start actually living our best life, and not what everyone else is telling us is going to create our best life. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
And on social, where can we find you on social?
At Positive Kristen,
Okay.
always updating there, or at Power of Positivity.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I love it. I love it. So what I typically do is I ask our guests to leave us with something that we can take with us throughout our week, our journey. And so that's whatever hits your heart and your mind, that can help us to align our mindsets to move forward within that. So if you would take a moment just to speak life to Elevation Nation and the people, just to give us something that we can take throughout the rest of our week.
Yeah, I'll give advice of what I've been doing lately is getting outside, get in nature, get that sunshine, get the fresh air, go on a long hike, get lost in the woods, or get to the beach, wherever it is you live. Get out in nature. God designed nature for us to replenish, feel peace, you know, get in the flow, connect with ourselves. It's one of my most favorite places, and now that it's so warm, I'm always getting outside. I'm getting so many benefits, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally. And so that's my favorite self-care practice, and I would recommend everyone just get outside. It solves everything nearly, right? It does.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. Elevation Nation, thank you so much for being with us. We don't take it lightly, that you tune in from week to week. And if you were empowered by this conversation, you must stay tuned to hear from Danny Peace when she talks about being authentically you. It lines up perfectly with this area of what we're doing, because we have to identify who we are, what we have, and sit in this area of this comfort zone as well. I want you to follow Kristen. I want you to get the book. I want you to not just get the book, but listen, as this, wouldn't it be amazing to be able to walk through the book with somebody else? Wouldn't it be amazing to plug into her network, to plug into everything? And let's just make this not just an area of viral for the sake of being viral, but let's make it viral by our actions. Woo! Like
Mm,
let's take what's being
yeah.
applied and actually put it into practice, and actually just look, start in your house. No, don't even start in your house. Start within. Start speaking to yourself. Start identifying that. Then let that bleed in on your spouse, and let that bleed in on your kids, and let that fill the neighbors and in your office, or whatever the case may be. Allow those things to align, and look, send testimonials. Let's put it in a comment section. Let's commit to taking this thing to the highest level that it can go, and being in agreement with this. Ephesians talks about, let no unwholesome word come out of your mouth, but words that are uplifting, that are
Mm,
edifying. And I I'm paraphrasing. So join us as we move forward with this declaration and this mindset and this lifestyle to go ahead and live in our comfort zone and go ahead and debunk all the myths pertaining to it being a bad thing and realizing that it's a place of empowerment. You're amazing. You're awesome. We are grateful for who you are. We love you, and you are already blessed.